All right. So, in his lecture, Dr. Claunch describes uh, the three uh, different views on the image of God, one being the structural, one being the relational, and one being the functional view. Um, I all but flat out reject the structural and the relational view, although the structural view it does have a little bit of it has a little bit of attraction because the way that God created us, especially pre-fall, um, in His image, but the way that it has to be tied to something like intelligence or um, almost the same as function um, is it's a little off-putting. Like Dr. Claunch said, if someone is of lower than average intelligence or incapacitated, then that doesn't make them less in the image of God. Um, I do like the idea of the functional view, even though it doesn't really quite get to the heart of this idea that we're made in God's image. I think that the functional view is definitely something that if we are living as we belong to Him, we're going to live in that function, just almost in the same way that the modern Christians, those who follow Jesus, are called His church, not because of what we do, but simply because He's called us. So being made in His image was not something. If you look uh, in Genesis prior to the fall, um, God made uh, man and woman in His image. But very soon in Genesis 3, let me pull that back up here. Um, you know, the serpent comes to Eve and says, "For God knows that when you eat from the fruit, your eyes will be open and you will be like God." Now, Satan right here is taking what God has already decreed and trying to put it into the functional view. If you do this, then you will be like God. You will be in the image of God. Let me go back a couple chapters here. Or like I'd already said, here we go. Sorry here. Let me pause. Sorry, I had to pause it there for a second. I felt like I was eating too much time trying to find the scripture. My browser crashed on me. Um, Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. Without them doing a single thing, without them, uh, although it's built into the structure, and He has a relationship with man and woman, without them functioning in any capacity, they were like God. So I think it's very appropriate where Dr. Claunch says that just like a king or possibly a queen that has this royal position that's been bestowed of them not because they've done anything but because they were born into it. It's a very beautiful picture of what that image of God means. Now, just like a king or a queen who abdicates the throne, man in Genesis 3 and since then has been rejecting that image. I wanted to say one last thing. I think that in recent times we've heard the image of God used as like this political pawn that uh, people can uh, do all sorts of horrible things, and as Christians we need to love them and just accept them because they're our brothers and our sisters who are also made in the image of God. But that's kind of going too dangerously on the other side, um, because those who are lost are rejecting that image. They've abdicated their kingship, and um, of course we love and we treat respectfully everybody that's in that position, but there's a fine line from welcoming them into the family of God when they've rejected that themselves. I hope I didn't get too much in the weeds there, but yeah. So I would say that I follow along just like Dr. Clonch was saying, not really in any of these three categories, but kind of beyond that.